Hello there, this is Smith Welding and Restoration. I am your host, Adam Niffen. Stick around, see what's in the garage this week. Alright folks, customer service. I don't mean servicing your customers, okay? Customer service. Whether the writ says warranty, guarantee, implied, written, or otherwise, stand by what you do. Even if what you've done isn't wrong, but isn't correct, stand by what you do. What I mean by that is, I'm going to show you a familiar friend that you guys know fairly well already. I gave it back to the owner with the rust killed. The 415 product did its job. When he came to pick his truck up, I pointed out, it was still tacky, okay? I wanted that 415 on there to seal up and do its job, do what it was designed and meant to do. .415 is not light fast, and it's got a fairly shitty finish. So that being said, I showed the owner the truck. We discussed the project and the potential therein and everything else. I said, now look, my intent before I had this blister over here happen was to shoot it in a sealer that is somewhat light fast. Okay, light fast, there we go. Vocabulary for the day. Light fast is the aspect of, those of you that know what I'm talking about, just bear with me here, okay? Light fast is the aspect of something fading or deteriorating over time. 415 is UV sensitive. I've seen the results of it being in the sun over time, long-term and short-term. It's pretty devastating to, sunlight is devastating to 415 in as little as 30 days. This owner works for a vehicle wrap company. I don't even know whom. Hell of a nice guy. Great young man. We discussed a budget. We came back with a counter budget. We got what we got. We shook hands, everybody's happy. On his way out the door, I said, now, my intent, what I wanted versus what I got to do were a little bit different. So here's the situation. Matt, whenever you want, if you feel like it, or whether you feel like it or not, if you're going to be more than 30 days getting this vehicle wrapped, you need to bring it back to me. He kind of gave me a squirrely, not squirrely, a screwy look, like, huh? I said, well, 415 is not light fast. It would deteriorate anytime after, 30 days is pushing it for the lifespan of 415 in the sunlight, from my experience. Okay. Well, what I want to do is take and scuff it down with 320 and shoot sealer over it. Plus, I would really like to see you in a week anyhow, so I can inspect everything and make sure those rust bubbles went away. They pretended to have a slight reprieve, and the 415 killed it. I was very pleased with how it did its job. I will probably end up actually using a brush and brushing some more 415 on in those areas. I'm going to inspect them first. At this point, if they can be sealed, that's exactly what's happening. Moral of the story, stand by what you do. If you're incapable of handling the specific requirements or plans, you better have a plan B set up in order before the situation arises. Where we're at right now is I am fixing to scuff all this down. I got most of it done already. Yeah, it's Wednesday here in my household. I got my kids. My son was on a runaway tire swing. He had a handle before he even got out the door.
So back to the subject at hand, customer service, specific performance, port 15, light fastness. I want to inspect this again, make sure everything I did what it was supposed to, because it's acting funny. Every now and again you get one that acts funny. So you brought it back. Here's what we're dealing with. I got it all scuffed down, 320. We're going to go ahead and seal these areas, reseal these areas. Underneath, I'm not going to crawl around, okay? You guys have seen all this already. I'm going to clean up the areas that aren't affected so I can spray sealer. There you go. We're going to seal this bad boy down now. That rocker panel too, and under the bottom lip of that door. Basically he picked it up. I said just be careful with it the rest of the day. This shit is hard as nails. The 320 actually won't cut that. I gotta use 80, then go to 320 on a intermediate pad. That's where we're at. Why bother? Why bother? I did my job. I killed the rust, I did the body work. That's all he wanted, okay? Kill the rust, do the body work, seal it up. That was the ticket. I got some wise ass crying that body shops never release stuff that's not been primed or painted. Well, that's an additional, I don't know, few $100. Let's just say that. I know what the number was. I'm not going to discuss that with you. That's not your business. What your business is looking, watching, listening, and learning. I'm getting some water here. Sweet tea's great, but nothing like good old H2O. So, this wasn't on the ticket. This is an hour of my life I could be out there playing with my kids. Should I be? Yeah. Will I be? You bet. Do I need to take care of this? No, I don't need to. Here's an interesting facet. My faith defines a proper existence by 9 noble virtues. One of those is honor. Being honorable, being equitable. I'm giving the guy now more than he had commissioned from me. I ain't salty, I ain't mad at him. It makes me a better workman, makes me a better craftsman and artisan, and it gives this man something that he can be happy to look at. We're gonna get this cleaned up and I'll show it to you after I get a shot. Soft edge, ready to shoot. Soft edge, ready to shoot. Alright, so I've had questions on when and where to use your various Scotch-Brites or scuff pads or whatever you want to call them. Scotch-Brite's a brand, not an item. Alright, so let's check something out here. I got grays and I got reds. These are coarse. These are fine. I keep the old ones. Then they end up being basically scrub pads for washing down the cars as they come in for full paints. We'll actually use a red Scotch-Brite to wash a car or a gray Scotch or whatever we got handy. Old ruddy one. Reuse everything. 320 interface pads. I keep those. I can sand out primer, wet sand out primer with a worn out 300 grit, 320 grit interface. Alright, so when and where? Any of your factory epoxy coated products, new fenders, hoods, and the like, you take and use a gray Scotch-Brite. Why? Because it scuffs the surface enough to give it tooth. It gets all the wax, grease, any contaminants off there that might be on there that will cause you problems. And you, the gray Scotch-Brite will make no grit unless you get into it like a fool.
Gray Scotch-Brite will make no marks heavier than what your basic base coat pigment will cover. Plastic bumper covers, plastic parts like that, all those were cast in a mold. You've got mold release on the product still. If you shoot it, you're gonna be full of all kinds of problems. Alright, so use Gray Scotch-Brite on your new rubber or plastic components, body parts. Again, it leaves a scratch no greater than what your typical paint will fill, and it assists in adhesion. You'll have adhesion failure, i.e. the paint will come off the fucking car if you don't scuff it with something. The best function is to use an adhesion promoter after you scuff it and wipe it down with a tack cloth. Red Scotch-Brite, where they come in handy to me is if I've just got to seal an area, or if I got to do a quick reshoot on an existing paint job. If it's literally a scuff and shoot, it'll get a red Scotch-Brite. It doesn't allow maximum adhesion, but it allows enough tooth and gets rid of enough contaminants and oil and grease that you can tack it off and shoot it. This, when I prepped it off, all those areas over there, there's around the borders that I didn't get with the sandpaper, all those areas were red Scotch-Brite. That'll be enough for this industrial sealer that I use to catch tooth. So here's another gem of fact. A lot of the old school products that are no longer available as automotive products, if you really look hard, most of them have been moved to industrial use items. I use a lot of, quote, old products that are no longer automotive products. The gray sealer that I use, the 1K or single component sealer that I use on a lot of stuff, it's an industrial sealer now. It's not an automotive sealer. It all has to do with EPA and guidelines and bureaucracy and red tape and money. So, kind of 2 tips for you folks. Red Scotch-Brite, I'll use right on clear coat or a single stage job just to scuff it up, rough it up enough that something will bite, that you'll catch some tooth for the next whatever you're putting on it. What that's for is economy jobs, cheap, quick, simple jobs. That's all it's for. If you're really doing it good, doing it right, you would at very least use a gray Scotch-Brite with some kind of scuff it compound. I use gray Scotch-Brite also when I do a blend panel. I can feather that back and cut the skin off the existing clear so I can burn it in. I'll show you the sealed. And that's why we do soft edges. There's no hard edge to sand on or anything. It's done that easy. So yeah, it's still ugly because it's in sealer. It doesn't have a hard edge. Like if they were to suck vinyl down to that, no big deal, you'll never see the transition. Only transition is in the color. That's what the soft edge is for. That's why you back tape.